Hi, everybody. So this is to walk you guys through your second essay assignment. And this essay is focused on the poems that you guys have read, unique to poetry as a genre. So what you're going to do is essentially choose two poems from two different authors that you read in this unit, and you're going to compare and contrast those poems using the literary elements that you guys have studied. So you can choose poems that seem to naturally go together, or you could choose ones that maybe don't naturally go together and show how they compare and contrast. But think about things like literary elements like themes, voice, imagery, figures of speech, syntax, rhyme, and use the graphic organizer to help you organize your thoughts. So you do need to have two sources to support your claims. And your essay is due on Sunday, July 7th at midnight. 3 to 4 pages in length, standard MLA. Everything's checked for plagiarism, of course, and remember that the minimum page length must be met. So here's all of your poem choices. There is a lot of them. But I want you to choose poems that speak to you, that are interesting to you, because you always have the most to say when you find something, interesting and engaging. You do need to make sure that you are using scholarly terminology here. So use all of the terminology that you've learned from all these different lectures these past couple weeks to analyze your poems. So think about things like rhyme scheme for theme for English B, or symbolism in the flea, or metaphors, or um, uh, uh, syntax, or there's a million things that you could really talk about. You do need to, as usual, pull in good evidence to show your audience what you're talking about. So that means pull in specific quotes from the poems to show your audience, say, the theme, or show them the symbolism or the imagery. As the same thing goes for your sources as well. If they're listed on your bibliography, they need to be used directly in your analysis as quotes with citation. This is important. When you create a compare and contrast essay, you don't want to create a separate paragraph for each poem. So for example, I wouldn't do a paragraph on theme for English B and then a different paragraph on Tonight I Write. Instead, I would try and connect them across three main ideas. So I'm going to choose, say, for example, The Road Not Taken and To the Virgins. So I would say that both poems use, my first main idea would be that both poems use a unique rhyme scheme that helps create a rhythm, a certain rhythm. And then I would show how The Road Not Taken's rhyme scheme works versus the To the Virgins. Secondarily, I might say that thematically, To the Virgins is about making the most of the day, while The Road Not Taken, while similar, is more about making a choice, a difficult choice in life. So thematically, they're different. And then I would show how each of them touches that theme. And then I might try to connect the two of them across something like imagery. And I would say that there's pastoral imagery in both poems, and I would show the pastoral imagery from The Road Not Taken and To the Virgins. So it's not a great example, but what I'm trying to make you guys understand is that I don't want you to have a different paragraph for each author. I want you to connect them across each paragraph or main idea together. Whether you're showing the similarities or the differences, it should be around a central main idea. So some things to think about. What are the themes or literary elements that connect the works? How are the structures similar or different? And why does that matter? Why does that change meaning? For example, in Suicide Note, the structure on the page is very, very important. And that is really important versus something like, say, the structure of Next to, of course, God, America, I. Think about things like the differences and similarities between the authors and the historical periods and how that impacted or showed certain meaning. So, for example, a valediction forbidding mourning is central to the concept of trauma and war and sort of the historical situation of the world in a post-war world, versus something like is similar to My Papa's Waltz, which has to do with trauma and PTSD and post-war trauma. So you're going to be evaluated on having a fully developed argumentative thesis statement, good analysis of the works and their major concepts, concrete evidence to support your claims from your primary secondary sources. That means quotes, proper page length, MLA, correct usage of sources and citations, fully developed essay structure as always, a good intro with a thesis, clear main ideas and evidence, and a conclusion, and then clear organization of ideas across thematic concepts rather than having a section for each author. You also, of course, need to have a bibliography that will have your 2 sources as well as your 2 poems on there. If you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, go ahead and move on.